Warning, the following audio transmission is based on theory and is intended for entertainment purposes only. It's Doomsday and its affiliates will not be held liable for anything your dumbass does. Listener discretion is advised.
Welcome everybody to It's Doomsday Podcast. Today is January 1st, 2023, a brand new year. Time is 6 p.m. and joining me as always is Al. What's up, Big Daddy Prep? How you doing, man?
Hey, I'm doing fine, and yeah, it's New Year's. We made it to 2023. So many people said we wouldn't make it. We have made it. I don't know how much further we'll make it, but we definitely got to this place, so we're good.
Well, we're going to get into that. But before we do, guys, just remember we got some sponsors we'd want you to check out. Check out Blackbeard Firestarters, one of our affiliates. You use code Doomsday for 10% off there. And, guys, get the ReadyWise stuff, man. I'm seeing sales are going up for us over there. That's great. Keep it up, guys. We greatly appreciate it. And it definitely helps us maintain the show because it's not free to do this. And speaking of the show not being free, guys, the goal for this show for 2023 is to achieve network status, to get It's Doomsday Podcast on a network, right? So we can make this a profitable experience for Al and I, all right? Now,
right.
I want to let all you guys know, this last December, the downloads looked really good. And Al, when I say we are a handful of downloads away from getting network approval, we are a handful of downloads away. I mean, it is so close. I can taste it. It's like right there. So, guys, what I need you to do is share the show with friends, with family, post it on your Facebook, post it on your MySpace, post it on your Instagram, whatever social media you're on, say, hey, here's a podcast I think you might like, and share this out. It takes you 5 seconds, and by you sharing it could make all the difference for us getting with a network, right?
And here's something else. Every person that listens to this podcast on regular, you have 5 or 6 other people that you could tell about that think like you. You just probably keep it to yourself. Share it and share the knowledge. Let everybody know. Keep our numbers up. Help us to do more down the road. And also, it makes other people in your community know that you're a prepper too. So, hey, you can work together, not against each other.
And actually, guys, do this for your own safety. Do this for your own benefit, because the more people we help get ready is the less people you got to watch your back for when shit hits the fan.
Righto.
So share out the show, guys. It helps us. It helps you. It helps everybody. It's glorious. Anyway, so if you listen to our last episode, we did a pre-recorded episode before the winter storm hit. The winter storm hit, and I wanted to kind of do a winter storm recap because things didn't work out so hot for us, and I'm still discovering things that went wrong during the storm. But before I get into all my shenanigans, Al, how was the winter storm for you?
It was bad for us as far as the freezing, and we don't have below zero temperatures that much here in this part of Arkansas, but we did this year. The wind chill was very bad. Anything that the wind... If the cold didn't get, the wind did. I lost a flagpole. I lost about 20 chickens, even with all that I do to keep mine good. We lost a lot of things because of wind, cold, wind chill, things like that. So it's not just the snow and the heavy ice that people think it is. Lots of things cause you problems in this.
Oh, absolutely. So ice was my big enemy. So the original cabin we first built on the property was built mainly as like a bug out cabin. A lot of things are meant to be ran like off grid. So we have an instant propane hot water heater in there. I found out today that it froze and it broke. And it's not something that I feel is really repairable. It's probably better just to replace it. So that's now on the list of things to do, is replace the hot water heater in there. I'm going to tell you what, Al, my rainwater collection system really saved my ass because we pump our water up from a spring. And even with us disconnecting the pump and draining out the lines and doing all that before, every night before it froze, the lines didn't drain all the way and were froze up for days and things weren't working right. So the only thing we were able to do was transfer water from our rainwater collection system, which is made of 2 IBC totes. Each one's about 275 gallons. So we had about 550 gallons of water to get us through a couple days while we were trying to get these lines thawed out, right? So that really saved our asses because my in-laws are in town. My oldest son's back home now, so there's like 8 of us utilizing water there, right?
Right.
So so it's kind of problematic, when you have 8 people there and you have no water. It sucks. Now, so the tanks, the IBC totes, my dumbass forgot to put the stock tank heaters in them, so they froze, right? Luckily, we have a torpedo heater and Al, you're going to love this shit. We got a kerosene torpedo heater, right? That's portable.
Yep.
It just needs an AC outlet so you can run the fan in it, right? That's it.
Right.
So I ended up utilizing the ReadyWise solar generator to power this thing out at the pump because when the storm happened, we also lost power. So we were able to utilize the ReadyWise solar generator plus the kerosene torpedo heater to thaw out some things. When the power did come back on, I ended up putting 3 heat lamps in with the pump, so running about 1,500 watts consistently and keeping all that stuff nice and warm and thawed out with the heat lamps. I was also able to run the greenhouse for a little bit, the infrared lights out there, the heat lamps. I was able to run 2 of those for a couple hours off the generator, just till the power came back on. It didn't run very long because that's 1,000 watt draw on those generators is a lot. So I got a couple hours out of it. But anyway.
Yep.
So those were my shenanigans.
We actually purchased 2 or 3 different kinds of heaters or used 2 or 3 kinds of heaters here. We went to a propane type of heater that's for a ventilated inside that requires no power, no nothing. It's simply just light. It's I call it a souped up grill, but it keeps your house completely warm. We found out that's a good option. We went to a torpedo heater for our shop. It burns kerosene or diesel, either one. You can burn them both. But yeah, we got a backup system for that too. It has to be well ventilated, but it is a good heat source that we've never used before. We were just pulling out things this year because we knew how cold it was going to be to see what we had. And we've come up with a lot more sources than I had even really had. I thought, oh, well, we could use this or this. So this storm's taught us a lot. Unfortunately, Jester, for some people up north, I believe, was it Detroit, where it was that they had so much loss of life from people just absolutely freezing to death in their homes. And that's tragic because we warned people about this. And that's what we're talking about right there, folks. Check on your neighbor, keep an eye on people and what's going on around you. A lot of people died up there, and a lot of people died in their cars because they weren't prepared in their vehicles either.
I read a story also, Al, about a gentleman that broke into a school. I believe it was a school.
Yes, sir. I saw it.
And he brought, I think it brought, what did he say? Did it say like 20 people? I think 20 people.
He brought 2 people that he had picked up along the way. He took them to the school, and then along the way there was a bunch of people that had been stranded in cars. So he ended up with about 24 of them before it was over with.
No shit.
Yep.
And
he saved their lives.
I hope they don't charge that guy with any crimes. I didn't get to fully read the story, but that's an awesome guy.
They gave him accommodation. The city. Law enforcement in the city gave him accommodation for it.
Nice.
So,
very cool.
He's good. Yeah.
Yeah. See when breaking and entering pays off, right?
He actually left a very nice note that he was sorry for any mess that they might have caused by breaking into the door and breaking into the kitchen. But, he left a nice note. So they figured out who it was. And, yeah, it's a good thing. Good story, though. People helping people.
It absolutely is. And, so we were talking about this not too long ago about, how it's good to, help out your fellow man and do this and that, especially around these times. And I got to tell you, that was like one thought I had when the storm was hitting and I was seeing the cold temperatures. I was thinking in my head, how many homeless are out there right now absolutely freezing to death? Like, that's
Right.
a thing that's happening. Where are these guys going? Hey, preppers, do you want 10% off survival food? Go to www.readywise.com and use code DOOM10 at checkout for 10% off all your survival food needs. Again, that's code DOOM10 at checkout at readywise.com, DOOM10 for 10% off at readywise.com. Scary, Al.
Yeah, it's scary because many of them are on the street and people can't figure out why these people would get little communities together when they move around from one place to the other. It's because as a community, they can help each other. They're prepping on the most basic way that we need to be looking at how they're doing some of the things they're doing, the homeless, because they work in groups, they work together, they go off grid, they figure out how to get this and resources for that. So I'm gonna tell you something. Some of your best prepping minds might be right out there in those communities with the homeless. They know how to do things that we don't even think about sometimes.
No, absolutely. And guys, so you heard about what we did, what happened at my house with the winter storm. Al told you about what happened at his house. The only other thing is we had to run new lines down to the spring because we couldn't get these ones unfroze. So it was like a project. Anyway, I talked to a lot of people, on the daily about prepping and what's going on. If you guys aren't following me on social media, you absolutely should be. We have good group chats and things like that. And one follower, her water line froze up and she didn't have water. I feel like for it was at least a week.
No.
And she was having to, go to different places to shower and things like that. Guys, this is serious, and I want you guys to know this is like the first storm of the season in most areas. Winter's not over yet.
Yeah, it's just getting cranked up. For here in Arkansas, we haven't even really seen our winter yet. It's been unusual for us to be cold like this. I believe it was last Christmas. You and I were doing a show, and it was 79, almost 80 degrees on Christmas here. And then we went through all the terrible ice and snow we had last year, and now we've already had a really cold snap. So I wonder what Mother Nature's bringing us in January, February, March here. I figure it's going to be pretty rough.
Oh, Al, man, I totally forgot to mention this. So today is the 3rd year anniversary of its Doomsday Podcast. This show's officially been up. It's officially been up and able to download for 3 years today.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's absolutely great. Milestones are great. We've built a base of listeners and followers that are just great folks. We've brought a lot more people into the prepping community. Jester started this project long before I ever come along. I think we've been doing this right at like 14 months, something like that together. But, his hard work has really got way more people in the prepping community and got the word out there. And that's what we try to do every day is make more preppers. So I saw a story this week about this young black lady that was in her car and she was taking pictures. She was talking to people. She was doing face live videos and stuff with family. And you know what happened in the end, Jester?
What's that?
She froze to death in her car. They found her dead just a few hours after. Yeah.
Was she like stranded in her car, like stuck there?
Yes.
Oh,
she
my God.
She was stranded in her car, and there was no way to get to her, and nobody got to her, and she froze to death there. So, folks, when we tell you we want to see you do better as preppers, we want to discuss the things that, sometimes people say, oh, there's beating us up with this prepping stuff, or, oh, that ain't never going to work. After that lady, after I heard about her a couple of days ago passing away, I was outside today and I was so mad at myself because I was trying to start a fire in the wind and in the cold and in the rain. I'm out here trying to start a fire and I'm like, I got to do better than this. I got to do better than this because I got to be able to do this if I have to do this. And I thought, this poor lady, if she'd been around some of us and learned some of these lessons, some of the things she could have done to stay alive, she wouldn't have burned up all her fuel in her vehicle and she wouldn't have passed away like she did. So it's tragic, but
I mean, you know, and
Hopefully we'll have to do it again,
well, the whole thing
Man.
is could I, you know, I mean, if she was in communication with people, nobody could get to her because of the storm, I'm guessing.
I guess that's the way it is, yeah. And the roads weren't being serviced either. I think they pretty much shut down most of EMS and everything else too because nobody could get there. And I'll go back and find the story, but I'll send it to you for a reference note. But she was like 32 years old. I mean, professional.
Do you
Just
know
going
what?
to work.
Do you know what the saddest part about that is? You really think about it, Al. She could have had an emergency blanket for under $5 that could have saved her life. Like just
What
that,
about some emergency food or something like that?
just something
Anything.
small. She could have had a $2-3 Mylar emergency blanket that could have kept her alive, right?
Right.
She could have had a couple dollar store candles in there that could have maybe helped warm that car up enough, you know, just to help her out. You know, she could have
Right.
maybe had a full tank of gas and kept the car running all night, just, you know, by doing those things. You know,
What if she had listened to people like us, Jester, and we know that we're stuck in a situation like this? First of all, we try to approach it with as much fuel as you could possibly have, but then running your vehicle for periods of time and shutting it off. One, not to hurt your vehicle, so you can keep going on down the road later on, but also to warm your vehicle up. Okay, let it cool down a little bit, warm up a little bit more, cool it down a little bit, so that your fuel lasts longer, so you can stay warmer inside there. I think she ran out of fuel. She's probably like 89% of Americans. We don't go fill up our tank when we need to. You know
Right.
what happens, Jester.
oh yeah, I do. I'm guilty. I do it too. I try not to do it. But honestly,
But-
with the price of gas, it's like who wants to fill their vehicle?
Right. I mean, these are the things we have to start telling people that maybe they're not going to be huge preppers in the prepper community, but to make them more aware of things that can help them out. You know, the prepper stereotype, I think some people are like, oh, I don't want to be known as one of those, but they really want the information. So in 2023, I think that's the way we should all approach this is you don't have to be a prepper to learn how to be more prepared. Most people think of preppers as somebody that's out in the middle of the woods, camouflaged up. I got 10,000 MREs back here and 1,000,000 guns. No, that's not all of it is. Being prepared. Some of the best preppers that I've found with content out there on the internet are just simple folks, just regular folks, just making themselves more prepared for any situation that might come along. Is that not right?
Oh no, that's absolutely correct, 100%. And I mean, a lot of these guys, some of these guys out there, they're living this lifestyle. Like they're living the off-grid lifestyle, they're living the homesteading lifestyle, and prepping just kind of comes with the territory. It's not that these guys are in fear of the government or this, that, the other. They're like, no, I just want a self-sustainable life. I don't want to be on the grid. I don't want to pay the power company. That's stupid. I don't want to have to rely on Walmart. That's stupid. I just want to have, you know, what I need. I want to grow my own food. I don't want to eat what they put in the grocery store. Like, there's a lot of people that have that mentality, and it's trending now. A lot of people are wanting to be self-sustainable, and with that comes prepping.
Right. Right. That ideology that all preppers are the same is just false. We have preppers that are regular 9 to 5, suit and tie people. We have preppers that live in the middle of the country. We got preppers in the middle of cities and suburbs, some that are secret preppers, some that are public preppers. It's a huge community out here, but there's a lot of people would love to have the information that we have. So as preppers in 2023, I just like to ask everyone out there that's listening, if you're a prepper, why don't you go out and make 5 or 6 people? Let's just say 5. So you'll be a half a dozen folks. Go out there and make 5 people more aware of being prepared. Say, do you have a bag for your vehicle, an emergency bag? Well, let me tell you how to do that. Or, hey, do you store food do you can and things like that? Oh, you do? Oh, okay. Well, maybe I could learn from you. Go out there and interact with 5 other people. You'd be astonished of how much bigger this community will get in 1 year's time if you do that.
Right, and I keep telling people, it's kind of a situation where the more people you help get prepared, the less you got to watch your back, the better off things are going to be. It does help to make people aware. Absolutely.
Right.
And guys, I mean, putting together a simple winter bag for your vehicle, I mean, this doesn't have to be a very expensive thing for you guys to do. I mean, a crappy little duffel bag that you got lying around, you know, however many people you have in your family who can be in that car at one time is what you want to prepare for. And I mean, little stuff in there, guys. Hot hands, Mylar blankets, definitely a radio with some batteries, you know, different ways, different heating elements if you can have them, right? Because there's a lot of different little heating products they sell on the market that use like butane or propane or different things like that, where you could be warming up the interior of that car without having to rely on the engine. I mean, you could put together a really good bag for under $100.
Oh yeah, $100 bill, and you could still have some change left over, put a little gas in the tank. Yeah, for real, it's not that big a thing. You know, Jester, I think preppers out there, most preppers that are new, think they have to go out and get the fanciest, nicest, greatest stuff. The greatest preps I get are the ones I get for nothing or near nothing, and it's very valuable to me. I mean, I love to go to retail stores, thrift stores, auctions, you name it, and find a good prep for like practically nothing. I don't care about spending the big money. I don't want to spend the big money. I want to spend the low money and get the most I possibly can.
Right, I 100% agree with that. And I mean, that's the thing, guys. When we're talking about this stuff, a lot of this stuff is just cheap little things you could do that are just common sense, right? Like, I mean, think about it.
Right.
If your vehicle's stranded on the side of the road and there's a winter storm and it's freezing outside, you're not going to leave that vehicle and start a 100-mile hike down the highway to get where you're going. You're not going to do it. You're gonna stay in that vehicle. So let's be realistic for a second. What do you need? You need water. Obviously, that's great to have. You're gonna need a snack because you're gonna get hungry. So water, granola bars, some beef jerky in there is gonna get you through the night, right? Or till help arrives. Okay. Definitely having Mylar blankets, guys. Having the emergency blankets that keep your ass warm. That's gonna trap your body heat in, and definitely keep you warm. Again, a little propane heater, a little tiny one. They sell them. They're relatively inexpensive, right? You could have one of those in your vehicle. There are just little simplistic things you guys could do that are just easy. And I mean, I don't even want to think about the amount of kids that were stranded in cars freezing to death as well this winter. But this is not something I would take lightly, okay? Definitely think to yourself, what can I do right now with what I have to ensure I could survive extreme cold temperatures? And, you know, even if we're going for a ride in the car, I'm bringing a scarf, I'm bringing gloves, I'm bringing a hat. My wife's like, we're only going right down the road. Yeah, what if something happens? I don't want to be cold.
I have answered that question for people for years, and I'm tired of answering. They say, why you got that for? I'm like, why are you worried about it? You should be having one of these with you, whether it be a jacket or boots or whatever. I prepare. Everybody says, oh, you're the best prepper I ever seen in my life. No, I'm not. No, I'm not. I just think about it. It's a mentality. Folks, when you become a prepper, it's a mentality. You think, okay, it's the wintertime. Need to put 2 more blankets and maybe make it 3 blankets in there. And then we have a couple of those Mylars. We'll stick those back just in case we need them. And we need a little food in there because, you know, that easy, quick food. A water purification system. Maybe we need to put a couple of the little water purification straws in there. Oh, we need to do that. Oh, yeah. Okay. I know what we do. Oh, I got it. Okay. A source of heat. Oh, we got this little heater right here. We can ventilate this. Oh, I'll tell you what, in my bag, let me put a couple fire starters in there, a couple books of matches, maybe a little bit of cotton with the wax on it to start a fire. And you just keep building from there. And folks, let me tell you something. You'll be impressed. You'll be ready. When you break down and there's 10 other vehicles out there and you're the only one that has anything to keep all of you warm, you are the man. Listen, I'm telling you, people appreciate you helping them to live way more than anything else in the world you could do for them. You'll be the man, I promise you. I've got pats on my back for having extra stuff when something bad happened. Man, I'm glad you thought about that. Yeah, I just try to think about the things we need. Man, that was good. It happens. It ever happened to you, Jester? I know it happens.
I mean,
you have something.
It has. You know, I get like, damn, like you're like a Boy Scout. You're prepared for everything.
Yep. Yeah, I get called the Swiss Army knife. That's why I get called. He's a Swiss Army knife.
So
I get that all the time.
I'm gonna tell you guys what, when we're talking about these portable heaters and stuff like that, guys, I want you to think for a second and realize that a car is a very small space. So it doesn't take a lot to heat up a car. There's a lot of different options on the market, and we're not paid by Mr. Buddy or Little Buddy heaters. We're not paid by them, but they sell, like, everybody knows the little red square heaters you pick up, carry around. You can hook them up to a big propane tank, small propane tank. Well, they have another one that is almost like a 45-degree angled heater that just screws on top of the little Coleman propane bottles.
Yep.
Guys, these things are under $70. They're like $65 online at Walmart, things like that. And looking at one right now for $64. These are 3,800 BTU heaters. Okay, safe indoors. This would heat up your whole car and keep it warm. You'd probably get too warm and have to shut it off, right? And I mean,
Yep.
You got to think, just to have something like this in your bag, or in your vehicle, in the trunk, if you break down, you're not going to die. So this heats up to 95 square feet. So I don't know how many square foot your average car is, but I mean, this is going to do the job. Okay.
No, it'll do the job for
Right.
sure.
And so check this out, guys, just to think about this for a second. The stats on this thing are it runs for right over 5.5 hours on a 1-pound propane cylinder. All right. So propane cylinders are not exactly expensive. Propane doesn't go bad. It stores indefinitely. So think about this for a second. If you had 4 of these things, all right, if you had 4 of them, you're getting yourself almost 24 hours of heat in your vehicle. So if you're stranded, I mean, there's a good chance within 24 hours someone is going to find your vehicle. All right. Or there's a good chance that maybe in that 24-hour period, they're going to come out, plow the roads. They're going to help you get out if you're stuck. Just the idea of, I can go buy 4 propane tanks and have 24 hours worth of heat, right? And that's that's also not to mention, not having your car running too. Because if you're say every hour you're starting your car up, just to let it heat back up, plus you got these, you might be able to survive 2 days in your vehicle.
Oh yes.
Now the thing is
heat rationed out would even make it a lot longer, because you may not want to burn it all at one time. I mean, some people might want to turn it off for a while, turn it back on. So yeah, you could probably get 2 or 3 days of that.
Oh, I'm sure. And so to go back, and something else to think about with this. All right, so in this kit, you've got your heater, you got your Mylar, you got your little propane tanks. You're stuck there for 24 hours. Guys, don't underestimate the fact you got to eat. You might have to go outside and take a shit, right?
Yep.
So having things in there, also, and don't underestimate this, guys, feminine products. If you're there, what if you're with your wife and all of a sudden you're stuck there, 12 hours goes by and she's like, I have no feminine products and Aunt Flo just got here. Oh, fuck. Now we're fucked, right? So the idea of having that stuff in there, having a way to dispose of garbage, like a couple garbage bags, things like that, a way to utilize and go to the bathroom and a lot can happen in 24 hours as far as bodily functions go. So it's good to prepare for that stuff too. But I mean, guys, we're not talking about a bunch of crazy stuff in here.
No, not crazy at all.
Right. No, nobody's talking about buying, we're not telling you guys go out and buy a $200 heater and $300 worth of emergency food and don't forget your solar battery packs. Like, no, I mean, guys, this is cheap little shit you can get put together in a kit and avoid these bad scenarios. Or if they pop up, you are prepared for them, right?
You know what? For $100 bill, Jester, and it's going to be tight because the economy's kind of on a rocky road right now. But I still think for $100 bill, I could go out and build you a kit that would get you through almost any situation, to aid any situation you were in, for less than $100 bill. Probably enough to buy me a soda on top before it was over with. For $100, you can do a lot of work. It's like the magnesium rods. Most of the time, the places like Harbor Freight run for 99 cents.
Right.
That's cheap. I mean, how much is cordage and things like that, and a couple tarps? You can buy tarps in a kit and break them down and make a couple sets out of them. We're not talking about huge amounts of money here, folks.
No, we're not. And I mean, one of the big things with this, guys, is the portability factor. Hey preppers, do you want 10% off survival food? Go to www.readywise.com and use code DOOM10 at checkout for 10% off all your survival food needs. Again, that's code DOOM10 at checkout at readywise.com, DOOM10 for 10% off at readywise.com. All right. If you're building one of these kits, build it in something you could pick up and walk with or put on your back. The reason why I'm saying that is a lot of us have two vehicles. I have a car. My wife has a car. We have different vehicles, and it's the idea if we're taking her car, take it out of my truck, put it in her car, it's with us, right? The idea that this could be just thrown in the trunk when you guys are leaving is just a really good idea, right? And just building these things specifically for your needs. Like if you've got a family of 5, you need 5 emergency blankets. Don't be like, you know what, I'm going to save $2 and we're going to share an emergency blanket. No, don't do that. Just spend the couple extra dollars, make sure everybody has their own, right?
Right.
And then the other thing is like if you're like, I'm not going to buy all those propane tanks. I could never be stranded for longer than 5 hours. It's not going to hurt.
Yeah.
It's not going to hurt you to have it. And, life is unpredictable. Shit happens. Okay.
I believe it was in Maryland last year. There was a group of people, including a senator, that was stuck for 38 hours on the interstate before they got any help.
Oh,
yeah.
Damn.
Well, it was 38 hours. But this story I saw the other day of this young lady passing away on the interstate. Nobody, she passed away from freezing. That's a horrible way to go. Folks, you can go out and make yourself a kit that will keep this from happening, or at least help your survival. I'm very sure, and I think about this, I think this lady probably, she didn't understand about the prepper lifestyle. So she didn't have a full tank of gas, and she didn't do the things that we would normally do. She didn't have the resources. And she did think someone was coming. Well, a lot of times when bad things happen, folks, nobody's coming. The cavalry is going to be you or maybe another prepper in the area. So 2023 is, the economy's rough, I understand. But if you're not a prepper, you need to really get started on your preparations. And if you are a prepper, I really wish you would go out and find somebody who's not, and kind of like put your arm around them and say, hey, let me show you a little thing about preparation, Just come on, let me show you a little something, because together we work a lot better. Just a few of us, we act like we're like weird people, the prepper people. But when you go out and make it where everybody wants to do it, then everybody wants to be the cool guy. And luckily, prepping has got to be kind of the cool guy thing over the last couple of years, and maybe it'll just grow. But we need more prepared people in this world.
Oh, we absolutely do. And what's crazy and wild to me is, we talk about this stuff a lot, okay? We just got done doing I don't know how long ago it was, a couple months back, we did a show with Texas Prepper Mom, right?
Yep.
About this. And, we just did the winter storm that was coming, although it was a pre-show to the winter because, we had to record before Christmas. But, guys, we're saying this stuff because it's serious. When we talked to Texas Prepper Mom, we talked about the Texas freeze. We knew about the death toll down there, and there's still more that they're not telling us about that,
Right.
I think it was estimated about 250 people, but we know that there's more, but they're just not attributing it to the freeze. Oh, and the other thing is if you're counting on, we've got electric, we're fine. They're doing periodic blackouts.
Yes.
They did this to us, okay? Now, I don't know how many people out there are prepared for something like that, because even if you're like, well, I have gas. Okay, that's cool. Your blower fan's still electric, right? So how are you gonna power that? Okay? Or if you're like, well, it doesn't matter, I have a wood burner. That's cool. That's awesome. I bet your well pump's electric. I bet it is. So you're gonna be warm, but how are you gonna flush a toilet? How are you gonna have something to drink? How are you gonna do those things? Right? So everybody needs to wrap their mind around all of these scenarios. Like, right now, the 3 things we kind of all rely on are water, electric, and shelter. All right. And there are things that are incorporated that makes your house a home, that makes this survivable. You start taking away these nice little, conveniences like your electric or your water supply or your heat source. It's not going to be such a great shelter anymore, and you're going to be in a really bad spot, guys. And that's what we've been trying to preach on this show for all this time.
It certainly is. Folks, if you want to do an experiment, you just take folks and you take away their cell phone for a little while and you watch how they kind of go crazy without a cell phone. Then you send them back to the house with no cell phone. Oh, the water's off now. Watch their tension go up. Oh, the TV doesn't work either. Oh, darn, they just turned off the power. You just watch people's emotions ratchet up. We should all be able to walk away from all of this and be calm and be able to just go do what we need to do to survive. All these things are nice, but we could all live off grid. I wish I lived off grid to live grid. I wish, and I attain to do that very soon.
Yeah, I mean, I'm working diligently every day to be less reliant on the power grid, less reliant on different things. And I mean, so far, the only thing we're really reliant on is the electricity. Like, that's the only thing. I mean, we get our own water, we have our own septic. Like, we don't even have garbage service where I live, Al.
That's good.
Yeah, so I mean, we're for the most part, like, man, if we could shut that electric bill off. And at some point, I don't know if we'll ever shut the internet off, but at some point, if we could do that, that'd be great.
Yeah. I hate to say, but technology and things like that and all these comforts have made us a lot weaker as people. You watch people nowadays, how they just lose their mind when things don't go their way or they don't have what they think they need. Folks, we need a lot less than we think we do. We were just talking the other day about eating, and I said, yeah, I used to eat 3 meals a day. Then I got to where I just eat about 2 meals a day. And now some days it's a big meal and a snack later on, and that's it. I have tapered down the amount of food that I take in for a reason, because I feel like eventually food's going to be harder to get, and I want to get down to a good weight to where I don't have to fill my stomach up so much and I can function and everything's great. But I just feel like times are changing, and I'm changing with them. At least I hope I'm changing with them.
Yeah, no, I 100% agree, Al. Yeah, and so, guys, if you take anything away from this episode, please take away that winter's not over yet, and more shit is coming. All right?
Yes.
We are, like, where I'm at, Al, it gets really bad here January, February, right?
Yep.
This is, like, again, this was an unusual cold snap. We're not usually dealing with this. Like Al said earlier in the show, 79 degrees last year, right?
Yep.
Just do understand. Don't be like, well, winter's already here, it's too late to do anything. Like, no, it's not really here yet. It's not. It's going to get colder. And, for most people out there where they live, you've got about 4 months of suck left, right?
Yep. You know what's really weird about last year, Jester? On Christmas, it was like 79. On Christmas here, it was like in the single digits this year from last year. Now we're looking at New Year's Day here. It was like 60-some degrees. And last year, it was the flip-flop. It was like 20 or 30. So, yeah, it's really weird. And we're going into our winter season. Our winter won't start until, basically January, February, March. And April, we'll finally be digging out from it. That's strange. It wasn't like that here 25 years ago.
Yeah, no, I got you. Well, all these weird weather patterns and the world changing and stuff like that. I think we're in for a lot worse winters coming.
Yes.
I remember, Al, I remember being a kid and getting really bad winters. And then when I was a teenager, we didn't get shit. And then when I got in my 20s again, we started getting bad weather again. So there are cycles, and my wife was telling me she's more in touch with certain things than I am, and she was mentioning to me, Al, that she was like poking around in the Farmer's Almanac, and it said it's supposed to be a wicked winter this year. She says we haven't seen shit yet, and I'm like, great, that means I have so much more work to do.
Yep, because it's coming, and prepping for these things, folks. we did a show the other day. It was telling you that it was coming and some of the things to prepare for. Now that it's come through, you see where your weaknesses, where your deficiencies are, what you've got a problem with. Now's the time to fix it before next year, or even before it freezes again this year. Get out there, make adjustments. We didn't have any faucet covers here at the house. We've always wrapped up with other stuff. Well, my father-in-law wants some faucet covers. You're not going to believe this. In the tiny town that we live in, there's only 2 stores that carry faucet covers. One was totally out and couldn't get any for a week, and the other one had a waiting list that you had to put your name on for when they came in. Yeah.
Wow, that's
faucet
interesting.
Covers.
For the exterior faucets, right? For the spigots outside.
Yes.
Yeah, gotcha. Okay.
Yep.
Huh.
Prep ahead of time. These I could have got it for 25 cents a piece last year after the freeze was over with. Buy your stuff up ahead of time. Then you don't have to worry about these kind of things.
Also, guys, like, don't, I hate to sound like a hoarder, but don't throw shit away, man. If you just got done insulating all the pipes in your basement and you got like a 6-foot section laying around, don't throw that away. Just keep it because you might need it, right?
I am a hoarder. I don't care. I'm keeping it.
Al said, I will hoard to death.
In 2023, just pick you a prepping partner, somebody that doesn't know about prepping. Bring them along, teach them a few things, try to help them to save their lives. And other than that, let's have a good 2023.
I agree with that wholeheartedly. We'll see you guys on the next episode. Have a great day, everybody.
This is an emergency action message. At approximately 1 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time, NORAD is tracking 15 ICBM nuclear missiles inbound to the following cities: Orlando, Miami, Pittsburgh, Dover, Newark, Richland, Philadelphia, New York City, Baltimore, Los Angeles, Las Vegas, Boston, Seattle, Detroit. This is an extremely deadly situation. Stay tuned. The next emergency message will be a presidential address.